Good afternoon, tribe. My name is Darius Lester, your financial philosopher, and this is Mammoth Money Mindset. And today, I'd like to talk about why I say save at least 10% of everything you make. Some people think 10%, what's that going to do? I want to be rich, not be missing out on 10% every single month. Sure. What are the positives, the actual things that you will gain from withholding 10%? I just told my little brother to do this. I've been telling my sister to do this for years. And everybody else that I meet or that uses my counseling services, I'm like, hey, at least save 10%. So I'm going to show you with calculators and numbers what saving 10% could do for you in the future. All right, let's get into it. I'll just start this off by sharing my screen because why not? Boom, bam, we're up. All right. So first off, let's just use somebody middle ground. We'll say somebody makes $40,000 a year, right? Boom, 40,000. And what's 10% of 40,000? Just multiply by 0.1, technically 0.10 if you want to do that. Boom, 4,000. So if you make 40,000 a year, you would want to save 4,000 every year. How much is that a month? About 12, $333.33 every single month, right? That's how much I'd be asking you to save if that's your 10%. So what's the point of doing that? Let's run some numbers, shall we? So let's say, you started doing this when you were 20, and let's say you saved 10% of every single thing that you made until you were 30, right? 10 years. So if you're saving $4,000 a year, right? That times 10, times 10 is 40,000. So just let's say you're some kid, 20 years old, got a job, making 40,000 a year. If you just save 10% of that, so I'm not even counting any of your raises, any of your pay increases, none of that stuff. If you just save that in 10 years, you now have a savings account with $40,000 in it. How many people can say they have a savings account with $40,000? Not a lot. Not 60, 70, not even 80% of the United States can say that. And you would have made that just by saving $333.33 every single month. It's a big number. What else could you do if you decide to save that amount? Let's say, hey, Darius, I don't aspire to have $40,000 in my savings account. I only want enough to cover a few months of expenses. How much is a few months of expenses? I don't know. Let's say it was 10,000. So in this case, let's say 10,000. That doesn't really help this. Don't worry about it. But eventually, right? So you hit 10,000 while you're saving your money, and it's like, all right, now the rest of the money that I make, I'd like for it to work for me. I'd like for it to grow itself. I'd like it to multiply and flourish. I'm with that. That's why I have this other calculator up. So let's say your initial investment, right? We're just going to do everything monthly because it's easy to track. So your initial investment is that $333.33 that you've been saving up because you hit 10,000 and you're good. You don't aspire to have $40,000 just sitting in an account. All right. So monthly contribution, of course, is going to be another $333.33. Now, length of time. So really just think to yourself, what are you saving this money for? Are you saving it for a trip? Because maybe that time period's only, 12 months. And if that's the case, honestly, we already know what that is. We've done the math. That's going to be $4,000, which is enough to go on a very nice trip. So honestly, let's just pause right there for a second. If you desire to have a vacation fund, you feel like you deserve a vacation every single year. If you save 10% of everything that you make, you can now go on this vacation every single year just because you decide to save that. You don't have to go into debt and figure out how to pay it off later. But let's look even more forward thinking. Let's say I'm doing this savings because I want a good, retirement. So if you are, I don't know, let's say you made your 10,000 the first 3 years. Let's say you're 24. All right, you're 24. Retirement, we'll say is what, 65. So 24. What's the math? We got a calculator. 65 minus 24, 41. So, boom. For the next 41 years, that's where we're sending our 10%. Interest rates, depending on where you're putting it. You know what? Let's just start off with right now, as far as high interest savings accounts go, some of them are looking around, I'd say the averages right now is probably about 4.2, something like that. So we'll do 4.2, and then variance, basically that just means it'll show two additional lines, like a high end and a low end. So it doesn't really matter. We'll just say a variance of 1. All right, so this is going to show us if we invest $333.33 for 41 years, and we're getting an interest return of 4.2%. So 4%. Yeah, it'll show what we'll have. So same thing. If we are holding that, what, 10? Yes. If we're taking that 10% of everything we make, we're living off of 90% of the money that we make. This is what we could do, something additional we could do with that money. We could take it, put it into a nice, high interest yielding savings account or a bond that at least gives us that 4.2%. And at the end of 41 years, we will have $420,645.51. So that variance I was telling you about is going either up or down by 1. That's what these other two outside lines are. So, if it did better, maybe your interest rate was 5%. You could be up to 500,000, or maybe even if it dropped down and you were only getting 3.2%, you'd still have $330,000, by your retirement age. And that's just off of you giving 10% of what you were making while you were 20. Now, just think about if you kept raising that 10% every time you made a raise, every time, basically just always do 10%. You start to make $60,000 a year. Maybe you got a real good job, started making $120,000 a year. Still taking 10% of that, the numbers don't lie, right? So let's say we matured a little bit, right? We got a better job. Now we're making, 80. Now we're making 80,000 a year. Do that. 10, 8,000, simple enough. And that divided by 12 is 666. And I guess I really didn't need to do that math because 8,000 is just double 4. But calculators are important, so I'm going to do it anyway. All right. 6. Now, this is older us, right? We're making double what we were when we were 20. You can still see down here, this is what we would have had in our, nice high interest savings account by the time we hit 65. Still a great number, way more than tons of 65-year-olds. Way more than a lot of people ever see before they die. Yep. Let's see. So we're a little older. So we'll say we started contributing, I don't know. Well, I guess that's hard to do because we still have money if we increased it later. It's fine. You figure out the difference yourself. I'm going to leave everything else. I just increase the amount that we're putting in there. And you calculate that out. And this is your new amount, right? The variance goes up. If you're doing great, you might have $1 million. If you're doing so-so, you'd have 800. And if it was not that great, then you'd still have $661,000. This is why it's important to put away 10%. Super duper 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 important. And then honestly, so this is just with a savings account, right? Um, let's say that because heck, honestly, the initial thing we said was, you were tired of putting money into your savings account, so you wanted to put money into, maybe some sort of investment. A great average area for the S&P 500, or like nice safe slash good investments that cover the entire market, we'll say is 10. Some people say it's 8, so we'll just throw in 2 variants because it'll show 8 as well as 12, just to cover all of our bases. And how much would that be over time? Oh, basically $4 million. $4 million off of saving, $666 investing $666 every single month for 41 years. And let's say you weren't able to do that until you hit 30. So we'll switch this to 31. Calculate that. Still. Yep. So we can say, even if you didn't do any of this stuff when you were 20, you didn't start until you were 30, still put this much away, invest it in some kind of safe thing, maybe get a fiduciary or something like that, or a financial advisor to help you out, or do it yourself with a little bit of research. But find something that can get you 10% annually on average. Sometimes you might get 6, sometimes you might get 14, who knows? But on average, giving you 10%. And by the time you hit retirement, you can have $1 million plus, right? I mean, if you're having a good year, you might have $2 million just off of saving 10%. 10%, 10%, 10%. Everyone, the beautiful thing about 10% is everyone can save 10%. I guarantee you. Because we just looked at it, right? 10% of 40,000 is $333.33 every month. You can do that. If you only make 20,000 a year, we'll throw that in here too, right? 20,000 a year times 0.10. That divided by 12. $166. I guarantee you that you waste $166 every single month. Guarantee you. Everybody. Every single person, I guarantee you that you waste $166 on something that you don't even know where it goes. If I took $166 out of your paycheck, without you knowing, throughout the month, you'd go through the month, you'd buy everything that you normally buy, you'd hit zero in your account whenever you hit zero, and it wouldn't affect your lifestyle. It's not stopping you from doing whatever you're going to do with your kids. It's not stopping you from taking care of your mom. None of that. That 166 that you waste every single month is something frivolous that you don't need in your life. You just buy it because you see that you have an extra 166 in your account. So again, moral of this whole story is just a quick little example on why saving is important and why you should do 10% of everything you own. It'll just make your future so much better, and it's really easy to do. Thank you for watching. Oh, wait, hold on. I can do this.